I'll show you exactly why certain cheap gear fails, based on real-world testing and a bit of science. First up on our list is one of the most common items in any budget kit, the magnesium fire starter. You've seen them, these little blocks of magnesium with a ferro rod glued to the side. The idea is simple. Shave off some magnesium, create a pile of tinder, and strike the ferro rod to ignite it. Magnesium burns incredibly hot, so in theory, it's a foolproof way to start a fire. The problem is, the quality of these cheap imports is wildly inconsistent. Let's look at this one I bought for just $2. The first issue is the magnesium itself. Often it's not pure magnesium, but a cheap alloy. It's harder to shave, and the shavings don't ignite as easily. See how much effort it takes just to get a small pile. Now let's compare that to a reputable brand. The shavings come off like butter. The second and more dangerous issue is the ferrocerium rod. On these cheap models, it's often small, brittle, and poorly attached. I've had them snap in half on the first strike or just pop right off the block, leaving you with nothing. Let's try striking this cheap one. The sparks are pathetic, weak, and short-lived. Now watch the quality rod, a shower of hot, molten sparks. In a cold, wet survival situation, fumbling with a poor quality fire starter wastes precious energy and body heat. If your hands get numb, you get frustrated, and panic can set in. You are better off with a simple Bic lighter and a proper ferro rod from a trusted brand. It might cost you $10 instead of $2, but it will work every single time. Next, let's talk about the survival wire saw. This thing looks impressive, right? A flexible braided wire with 2 rings for your fingers. It's marketed as a pocket-sized chainsaw. You can supposedly cut through branches and even small logs for shelter or firewood. They're included in almost every pre-made cheap survival tin. But let me show you why these are, frankly, a deadly trap. The concept is sound, but the execution is a disaster. The metal used is almost always low-grade, untreated steel. It's prone to snapping under tension. Watch this, I'm going to try cutting this 3-inch thick branch. I'll wrap the saw around it and start pulling back and forth. You can immediately feel it binding. The teeth, if you can even call them that, are poorly formed and do more rubbing than cutting. It generates a lot of friction and heat, which weakens the wire even further. I'm putting in a ton of effort for very little progress. And there it is. It snapped. Imagine you're injured, hypothermic, and you're desperately trying to cut wood for a fire or shelter. You're counting on this tool. When it breaks, you've not only wasted a huge amount of energy, but you've also lost your primary tool for processing wood. You could even cut your hands when it snaps. A far better and often cheaper alternative is a quality folding saw. Brands like Bahco or Silky make incredible saws that are lightweight, compact, and will rip through wood with minimal effort. It's a night and day difference. Please, throw these wire saws in the trash. They are a gimmick that will fail you. All right, let's move on to another popular item, the credit card multi-tool. These are thin stainless steel cards packed with so-called tools, a tiny knife, a can opener, a wrench, a saw blade. It seems like the ultimate MacGyver gadget to keep in your wallet. The problem is it tries to do everything and ends up doing nothing well. Let's start with the material. To make it thin enough for a wallet, they use cheap, flimsy steel. It bends and deforms under the slightest pressure. Let's try the can opener. The metal just bends away, and I can't get any leverage. It's useless. Now, the knife blade. It's not really a blade. It's just a sharpened edge on that thin piece of steel. It comes dull, and because the steel is so soft, it won't hold an edge, even if you do manage to sharpen it. And trying to use it is incredibly dangerous. There's no proper handle. Your hand can easily slip onto the blade or the jagged saw edge next to it. Trying to put any real force behind this thing is just asking for a nasty cut. And the saw. Look at these teeth. I'm rubbing it on this stick and it's just polishing the wood. It's a complete joke. What's the alternative? A real multi-tool. A Leatherman or a Victorinox Swiss Army knife is a proven, reliable tool built with quality materials and sound engineering. Yes, it costs more, but it's an investment in your safety. A simple Swiss Army knife classic on your keychain is 1,000 times more useful and safer than this credit card-shaped piece of scrap metal. Now for a big one, water filters. This is an area where you absolutely cannot afford to compromise. There are countless cheap personal water filters on the market. that look suspiciously like the well-known brands. They promise to remove 99.9% of bacteria and protozoa. The danger here is that you have no way of visually verifying if the filter is working. You suck the water through, it looks clear, so you assume it's safe. But inside these cheap knockoffs, the filter medium can be shoddy. The pore size might be inconsistent, allowing microscopic pathogens to pass right through. Or worse, the filter housing itself can have micro cracks or bad seals, allowing contaminated water to bypass the filter element entirely. You drink the water, feel fine for a day or two, and then you're hit with a severe case of giardia or cryptosporidium. In a wilderness setting, with no access to medical care, a severe gastrointestinal illness can quickly lead to debilitating dehydration, which is a life-threatening emergency. So how do you protect yourself? Stick to reputable, well-tested brands like Soya, LifeStraw, or Katadyn. These companies have years of research, rigorous quality control, and their products are trusted by relief organizations and avid outdoorsmen worldwide. Don't gamble with your health to save $20. A good filter is one of the most important pieces of survival gear you can own. Let's talk about shelter, specifically those ultra-cheap emergency mylar blankets and bivy sacks. You know the ones. They look like a big sheet of aluminum foil and cost about $1. They're marketed as space-age technology, reflecting 90% of your body heat back to you. And while the material mylar does have reflective properties, the construction of these cheap versions is their fatal flaw. They are incredibly thin and fragile. They will tear if you look at them wrong. If you're trying to wrap yourself in one in the wind and rain, it's going to shred into pieces, leaving you exposed. I've seen them disintegrate just from being unfolded. Let's test one. I'll just pull on it slightly. And there, it ripped with almost no effort. Imagine trying to make an emergency shelter with this. It's impossible. It's noisy, it's flimsy, and it offers almost no protection from wind or rain. So what's the better option? Look for what are called emergency blankets or survival bivvies from reputable outdoor brands. They use a much more durable material, often a tear-resistant polyethylene coated with the reflective layer. They are thicker, quieter, and can be reused. Brands like Sol, which stands for Survive Outdoors Longer, make excellent versions. They cost more, around $15 to $30, but the difference in durability and performance is astronomical. This is your life-saving shelter. A ripped sheet of foil isn't going to save you. A heavy-duty waterproof and windproof bivvy actually will. Finally, let's look at the cheap survival bracelets. These paracord bracelets, often with a plastic buckle that has a tiny compass, a ferro rod, and a whistle built in. On the surface, it seems like a convenient way to carry survival tools. But let's break it down. First, the paracord. The amount of cordage in one of these bracelets is usually only about 8 to 10 feet. That's not much. For building a shelter or setting multiple traps, you need a lot more. And is it real 550 paracord with the 7 inner strands? On the cheap ones, often it's not. It's just a decorative nylon rope that lacks the strength and versatility of the real thing. Now for the buckle. The whistle is usually so poorly designed that it barely makes a sound. Listen. It's weak and high-pitched and won't carry far. A dedicated emergency whistle is 100 times louder. The compass? It's a tiny, liquid-filled button compass that is almost always garbage. It sticks, it shows north in 3 different directions, and it's completely unreliable. Trusting this to navigate could get you hopelessly lost. And the tiny ferro rod embedded in the plastic. It's too small to get a good grip on, and the scraper is usually a flimsy piece of plastic. Getting a spark is a frustrating, finger-numbing ordeal. So what should you do instead? Buy your gear separately. Get a 100-foot hank of real 550 paracord. Get a quality, liquid-dampened baseplate compass from a brand like Sunto or Silver and learn how to use it. Get a loud, peerless emergency whistle. Get a proper ferro rod. You can assemble a small kit with all these quality items that will be infinitely more reliable than this novelty bracelet. So, the key takeaway here is this. Your survival gear is not the place to pinch pennies. It's a system you're trusting to keep you alive. That doesn't mean you have to spend a fortune, but it does mean you need to be an informed consumer.